starts to move through, and for many areas of the country it is going to be wet and quite cloudy, and possibly even some snow across high ground in Scotland. This leads us into Sunday, and once again it is going to be very unsettled. Across Scotland there will be some spells of rain, this turning to hill snow, perhaps a little dry across the very far north of Scotland, away from any showers in the Northern Isles. Northern Ireland will see some spells of rain, this could be heavy at times, similar across northern parts of England. And then we've got this very heavy band of showers slowly skirting its way eastwards in from the southwest. So Sunday, yes, there will be more clouds, some spells of rain, and quite blustery at times, particularly around western coast, though winds generally easing through the course of the day. But under cloud, under any spells of rain, it is going to be feeling that much chillier, particularly around any eastern coasts. Quite a brisk easterly breeze coming in here, adding on to the chill of things. But otherwise, temperatures themselves around about average for the time of year, highs reaching around 8 degrees Celsius in the south. Into Monday, a drier start for some. Plenty of showers, though, feeding into northeastern coast, still falling as snow across parts of Scotland. Then another band of very wet and windy weather starting to push in from the west. This, too, later on could bring us some hill snow across Scotland and northern parts of England. It's going to remain unsettled into next week. Another area of low pressure hitting us on Tuesday and feeling very cold.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
It's the final week to see how you can become our biggest cash prize winner to date, as there's a simply stunning £85,000 in tax-free cash to be won. Go on that dream holiday, buy that brand new car, or just relax in the knowledge that the rest of the year could be on us. But you have to hurry, as lines close on Friday the 30th of January. For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Dubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk
No,
now?
that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, this Trump made a good start. No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power?
Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber.
Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics.
We'll see where this ruling takes us.
These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
We love Great Britain. We love its history, its culture and its tradition, and that's why we're so proud to be part of GB News.
You look genuinely emotional. Oh, come here.
GB News does pay attention to those who are ignored by the mainstream media The majority of this country, whose forefathers fought and died to maintain liberty, to fight for freedom of speech.
The rule of law, the rights of property and democracy. This is the heritage that our country should be so proud of.
Which of course includes our Christian heritage. There's been a huge resurgence in the number of people going to church. Perhaps they're not finding what they're looking for, and they're looking for something a bit deeper, a bit more truthful, a bit more akin to Britain's Christian heritage.
That's right, get ready, because the most exciting night in general election history starts now!
Good evening, it's 9 o'clock. I'm Alex Armstrong. Tonight,
I think if Andy Burnham wants to be a Member of Parliament, Andy Burnham should be allowed to be a Member of Parliament. I'll try and make time between now and the by-election, go knock some doors for him.
I told you, every Saturday now we're bringing you breaking news. It's incredible, isn't it? Well, the King of the North, Andy Burnham, has declared his intention to stand as a Labour MP. But will the Prime Minister and his little group block his return to Westminster? Tonight, I'll expose his brand as pure vulture politics. Also, a developing story. Immigration officers have shot dead a man who was allegedly armed during an anti-ICE rally in Minneapolis. I'll keep you updated as fierce protests have erupted and President Trump accuses local officials of insurrection. And also tonight, I'll be joined in the studio by Reform UK's mayoral candidate, Leila Cunningham, who says she was the victim to a politically motivated hit piece this week, causing distress to her family and even splitting the political right. We'll be digging into the truth on this show. Plus,
Consider President Trump's remarks to be insulting and frankly appalling.
President Trump rose back on his comments about British troops not being on the front lines of Afghanistan. But is the damage already done? Plus,
Boring. Boring. Boring.
Reform politicians are often heckled, but what about being banned from events altogether? I'll be joined by Warwickshire Council leader George Finch as a damaging new poll shows 1 in 3 students want to ban Reform members from speaking at universities. I wonder whether it's something to do with being called Nazis all the time, I don't know. And
To be or not to be? That is the question.
well, the question now is, was Shakespeare a black Jewish woman from North Africa? Honestly, it's as bonkers as it sounds. And that is what a feminist academic's book now claims. Big show. And finally, an anti-ICE protester has hit back at Donald Trump.
So I'm Somali. I'm proud to be Somali. To me, being Somali isn't just eating bananas with rice.
It's as bonkers as it looks. Trust me, it's insane. And joining me tonight, Jonathan Gullis, Linda Jubilee and Paul Richards, joining me to talk about the breaking news and what a huge 2 hours we've got coming up with these great guests. But before we get cracking, your Saturday night gets started, Sophia Wensler's going to bring you the latest.
Alex, thank you and good evening. It's 3 minutes past 9. Your top story this hour. Andy Burnham has confirmed he wants to run for Parliament following days of speculation after Andrew Gwynn stood down as an MP on health grounds. There are fears among the Prime Minister's supporters that Mr Burnham could mount a future challenge to his leadership. Mr Burnham, who is currently Mayor of Greater Manchester, has insisted that he wants to back the Labour government, not undermine it. As a directly elected mayor, Mr Burnham has to get approval from Labour's ruling National Executive Committee before he can enter the race to be the party's candidate. That decision is expected to be with us tomorrow. US immigration officers have shot a 37-year-old man dead during an anti-ICE protest in Minneapolis.
Minnesota Governor Tim Walz has been giving an update, calling on Trump to end immigration enforcement operations in the state immediately. Meanwhile, the Department of Homeland Security has said the man was allegedly armed and had wanted to, quote, massacre law enforcement. Meanwhile, President Donald Trump has accused the mayor of Minneapolis, Governor Tim Walz, of inciting an insurrection. The reported shooting comes just over 2 weeks since Renee Nicole Good was shot dead by an ICE agent in Minneapolis. In other news, US President Donald Trump has paid tribute to the great and very brave soldiers of the United Kingdom after previously claiming NATO allies stayed away from the front lines during the war in Afghanistan. It comes after the Prime Minister raised Mr. Trump's comments directly to the US President in a conversation today. Sir Keir Starmer had called the remarks insulting and frankly appalling, while Prince Harry also defended the bravery of the UK troops. On Truth Social, the US President said Britons were among the greatest of all warriors, as he acknowledged the 457 who died and many who were badly injured. Elsewhere, the government says ministers will be given new powers to intervene in failing police forces in England and Wales. It's after a row over West Midlands Police's decision to ban Israeli football fans from a match against Aston Villa in Birmingham last year. It led to the retirement of Chief Constable Craig Guilford. Current legislation, which prevents ministers from intervening directly, will be changed, with the Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood saying police forces should be held accountable to Parliament and the public. Measures are set to be announced on Monday. And a German football executive has urged Europe to boycott the 2026 FIFA World Cup after Donald Trump's rhetoric over Greenland and broader foreign policy. Uke Göttlich, a vice president of the German Football Association, said in an interview with German media that the time had come to seriously consider and discuss a boycott. He compared the current moment to the Cold War-era Olympic boycotts of the 1980s. Those are your latest GB News headlines. Now it's back to Alex.
Welcome to the show, everybody. Every weekend now, we're bringing you some kind of breaking news. It's a crazy world we live in, but normally it's reform and Tory psychodramas. But tonight, we're going to be talking about, one that's about to happen in the Labour Party. And I want to start with this. Can you feel the burn, Keir Starmer? That's right. Greater Manchester Mayor Andy Burnham, the self-styled King of the North, has declared his intention to run as a Westminster Labour MP. In a letter released just before the 5 p.m. deadline, Burnham claimed his return would support, not undermine, the struggling Labour government. But that's just a load of gaslighting, in my opinion, because it's blatantly clear to me Andy Burnham isn't returning to help Labour. He's returning to burn the house down and replace Keir Starmer as Prime Minister. Do you remember his media blitz just before a Labour Party conference last year, telling the press about his disastrous so-called plan to turn the country around? He was splashed on front-page spreads everywhere, Telegraph interviews, New Statesman covers, demanding wholesale change to fend off reform's so-called existential threat to Labour. And as the cracks widen inside the party, here's what Deputy Labour leader Lucy Powell had to say.
Andy Burnham is incredibly popular in my part of the world. He is an incredibly popular politician because he is really changing our city for the better and delivering on those Labour values.
Interesting. What about Burnham's fellow Mayor Sadiq Khan?
I think if Andy Burnham wants to be a Member of Parliament, Andy Burnham should be allowed to be a Member of Parliament. I'm a firm believer in the best teams having all the talent playing for them. And if Andy wants to return to Parliament, I'll try and make time between now and the by-election, go knock some doors for him.
Very interesting. Might he want someone to return the favour for him one day? I wonder. But be careful what you wish for, because what exactly is Burnham's big plan to save the country? Start a regional class war, perhaps? Hiking council tax on so-called posh London and South East homes to bankroll a £40 billion borrowing binge for council housing. These are some of his policies, by the way, that he flaunted. Slash income tax for low earners while slapping a 50p top rate of tax on high earners. which, let's face it, means more packed flights of wealth fleeing to Dubai, leaving the Treasury emptier than Burnham's leadership ambitions. We've already seen how many millionaires have deserted Britain over the last few months, and I certainly think it would be worse under Burnham's policies. And finally, he wants to nationalise housing, energy, water and rail, all under public control to roll back, the 1980s. It's not bold, it's bonkers. It is Corbynism with a fresh coat of paint, isn't it? And there's his record in Manchester. Let's talk about his handling of the grooming gang scandal, revealing not a strength here, but more abject failure. His 2017 assurance reviews into child sexual exploitation were later exposed as totally toothless. In 2024, senior experts resigned from his panels after authorities in his region withheld key data from them. Baroness Casey called the probe a farce, lacking statutory power, leaving victims completely unheard. And by mid-2025, Burnham quietly backed a national inquiry after his local efforts completely collapsed. Campaigner Maggie Oliver, a hero in my opinion, called his reports a smokescreen while victims still wait for justice. Not a good starting point, is it? This is the man now presenting himself as Labour's saviour. Andy Burnham embodies vulture politics, unable to win a Labour leadership contest fair and square in the Corbyn era. He's now circling as the government bleeds and Keir Starmer's positive net ratings as leader are hemorrhaging. He's preparing to ditch the Mancunians who elected him, isn't he? Using their city as a launchpad for his next ambition. Either way, this is bad news for Labour and Starmer because whether Burnham wins or loses, the party is now set to tear itself apart over that decision either way. Now let's bring my panel in. Journalist and broadcaster Linda Jubilee, former Labour advisor Paul Richards and Reform UK member and former Conservative MP Jonathan Gullis. Welcome, everybody. What a day. What a day. Another day, another some kind of political... Another psychodrama. How about that, Linda? Yeah. What do you make of this? Do you think Andy Burnham would make a good Prime Minister? Because that's clearly... His letter's a load of rubbish, isn't it?
Well, obviously that's what he's aiming at, and he couldn't expect better conditions to this, even though it's widely described, and it is a tremendous gamble. In fact... There aren't many opportunities like this to launch a leadership bid. There is a tide in the affairs of men which taken at the flood. He could be in that position or he'll be left on the beach. But I think that he stands a reasonable chance of creating a pathway. His difficulty, I think, will be... I don't know what you two think about this, but his difficulty will be getting past the NEC. I think if he gets past that, I don't think he'll face the two big hurdles of an all-woman shortlist or a BAME shortlist, something like that.
You don't think they're going to try and stitch him up with a DEI candidate?
I think that would be a very, very unwise thing to do. And then, of course, he's in the hands of the Constituency Selection Committee, and I don't think they're likely to turn him down. But it's the NEC that will count.
Paul, are the NEC going to stitch him up, your mates in the NEC?
Well, my first thoughts are with Andrew Gwynn's family, because he's the guy that resigned on ill health. And if it was genuinely a plot to get Burnham in, of course, he would have done that in a few months' time after the May election. So I think that's a genuine resignation on grounds of ill health. It then presents Burnham with the opportunity that we're talking about. We have within the Labour Party rules, luckily, rules for precisely this scenario of an elected mayor or a police and crime commissioner wanting to give up a role to which they've already been elected in order to run in a by-election. And it goes to a 10-person committee, a subcommittee of the NEC.
Who's on that committee? To decide... How many people are Starmer loyalists on that committee?
Keir Starmer, for a start.
Yeah.
So he's quite loyal.
Good starting point for Burnham, isn't it?
It's chaired by Shabana Mahmood. Yeah. There's a few of the sort of constituency people who are broadly loyal, but it's also got Lucy Powell on it, somebody from the GMB, a trade union, not necessarily loyal, somebody from Uzzador, the party's treasurer. So it's, the sort of typical Labour Party kind of committee of the great and the good. On my numbers, I reckon 6 to 4 of those are Starmer loyalists, including Starmer. So
isn't that his biggest hurdle, do you think?
So I think, of course, it is. And the rules are, if it's in the best interest to let him go forward, then great. But if it's not, we just say to him, get on with managing Manchester. That's the job you've been elected to do for 3 more years. And do you know what? Your monologue, the attack line is, you know, he's deserting Manchester to go to London to become Prime Minister.
Yeah.
I mean, the argument that committee will have is, well, do you really want to face a by-election against that prospect?
Totally right.
Probably not.
Totally right. Well, Shabana Mahmood also has leadership ambitions herself, Jonathan. So it's like someone going, I want that job. So I'm gonna say no to you getting that job, Jonathan. But Reform UK have sent out an email today, 24-hour notice, similar to what Labour's actually done with Andy Burnham, given 24 hours to decide whether he can be a candidate or not. And so they're going to be putting someone up against it. Do you know who it might be? Is it Zia Youssef?
No idea. And I think if it's a candidate up against whoever it is in Greater Manchester, ideally be a local Greater Manchester individual, particularly in by-elections, that really does matter to local residents. Look, let's get to the plain hard facts of this. Keir Starmer cannot allow Andy Burnham the chance to run, because if he does, the moment Andy Burnham, if he does win the by-election, his speech that will be aired on every TV station will not be a speech to the residents of Gorton and Denton, it will be a speech to the country launching his bid to become the leader of the Labour Party, and it will be Keir Starmer might as well resign and go home. I can tell you now with Reform UK, we are going to throw the kitchen sink at this seat, whilst realising this is going to be a very difficult fight. This is Labour heartlands. It is an area where the Greens, from many MRPs and polls that we've seen, are also polling very strongly too. We saw what happened in Caerphilly with the Progressive Left rallying around a single left-wing party in order to stop Reform UK. So we'll be calling on Conservative voters to do the right thing and back a Reform UK candidate to give Keir Starmer a bloody nose and potentially Andy Burnham a bloody nose.
We haven't started it yet. You know, hold your horse.
So I think it's going to be very important. It's going to be, but also what Keir Starmer is rightly dreading is if this by-election doesn't go ahead, and if this by-election goes ahead with Andy Burnham as the candidate, and we have a by-election for the mayoralty of Greater Manchester, if you look at the donut ring effect that Leila Cunningham's targeting for the mayor of London, do the same maths in Greater Manchester, and Reform UK have a shot at winning it.
He's really hurt them here, hasn't he? This is a really bad move.
That will be the reason, I bet you, if he is blocked, and this could happen, by the way, tomorrow or Monday, they're talking about convening this committee quickly. If he is blocked, those will be the grounds, I think, on which it will be blocked. A, the massive cost of a mayoral by-election.
When millions of people, by the way, are being denied votes at the moment.
And B, the very real prospect of handing Greater Manchester to Reform, something that we don't want to happen. So you can see why they can construct a political argument that says, thanks, Andy, but no thanks.
Let's give Andy some, you know, let's just be nice about him for a second.
He's a very nice man.
Well, it looks like, by looking at the polls, Labour would really struggle to cling on to the seat. If the Tory and Reform votes sort of collided together, they would sweep in and take the seat, because, of course, you've got the Greens now swooping in, attacking Labour on the left flank. They're looking at sitting around 20% on that seat. It's a three-way split.
I think the Greens stand a reasonable chance in that seat, because if you look at the demographic profile of the seat, it has a younger than average residency, which means that favours the Green Party.
Yeah.
And those over 50, which favour Reform, for example, are only 17% of the whole seat. So Zach Polanski stands a reasonable chance. I don't know what the chances are of him actually standing in that seat, but the Green Party...
But my point was this. If Burnham doesn't stand, Burnham standing looks like the only way they'll keep that seat, actually, is what I'm trying to say. So they're kind of doomed if they do, doomed if they don't. If Burnham doesn't stand, they'll lose a seat, which they don't want to give to Reform. If he does stand, they lose a mayor, which also they could lose to Reform. Maybe there's Nigel Farage sort of clapping his hands together like a seal here, going, I can't believe they've done this. This is great.
Well, I think this is what the interesting fact is. I totally accept that if Andy Burnham is the Labour candidate, it will be very difficult for Reform UK to win that seat. Not insurmountable, but challenging, because he's got massive profile. He will be able to hoover up a lot of Green Party votes. Zach Polanski's already on the record saying he's willing to do deals with a Andy Burnham-led Labour Party. And so, you know, that progressive alliance on the left will be something that will have to be hard to overcome. But, yes, you are correct. Look, Reform UK, we're here to tell the Uni Party that they're done and dusted. The time is nigh. It's time to go in the bin. It's time for change. You've rightly pointed out, not only has Andy Burnham done a terrible job when it comes to grooming gangs, but the police, under his watch, is in special measures. How on earth can you trust a man who's got this situation going on in Greater Manchester with the keys to Downing Street?
Very final words to Paul over here. Andy Burnham, the saviour of your party, the only man that can save you now, very briefly?
In Manchester last weekend watching United. What a great city, booming, great growth, great buses. Andy Burnham, thank you very much. Carry on doing the great job you're doing. OK, there we go. Right, brilliant stuff. Coming up, 1 in 3 students want to ban Reform speakers from attending events on campus. Why
has happened to free speech at our universities? And we'll be talking about that with George Finch from Warwickshire. But next, a brand new book claims William Shakespeare was actually a black Jewish woman. I sometimes when I read this stuff, I can't believe what I'm saying to you. Anyway, that's coming up next on Alex Armstrong Tonight. Trust me, you won't want to miss this one.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I ever got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Welcome back to the show. I've got such a jam-packed show for you tonight, guys. Honestly, some amazing guests joining me throughout the evening. Stay tuned. And this is a bonkers one, though. Was William Shakespeare a black Jewish woman? Well, that's what a sensational, to say the least, new book is claiming. Author Irene Coslet argues that centuries of Western-centric ideology has hidden the true authorship of the Shakespearean canon and points to Emilia Bassano, a poet with Tudor court connections, as the real writer behind the plays. According to the theory, a woman of North African origin used the pen name Shakespeare only for her work to be stolen by an uneducated man from Stratford-upon-Avon. So tonight, I'm asking, is British history being rewritten or even erased in the name of modern identity politics? I'm now delighted to be joined for the first time on the show, founder of the YouTube channel History Revealed, Joel. Thanks for joining me, Joel. And activist Iman Aiton. Thank you very much for joining me, both of you. Iman, I'll start with you and then I'll let Joel respond directly to your statement. Do you think British history is being erased?
Well, no, but let me just be clear. I think we've been manipulated by a very hot
title article from Telegraph. It basically led us all to believe that this woman, who is technically supposed to be erasing Shakespeare because she was the original, and now our history as English British people is being erased. Well, that title was actually wrong, because Emilia wasn't actually black, nor was she African, nor was she North African. So I'll stop taking the mick, and I'll just explain that she had a white mother who was English.
Yeah.
She had a father who was Italian. No. If we're going to talk about it, let's be clear. Let's be clear. Her father was Italian, Spanish. There was no actual link in terms of her actually being North African. The only thing was her being a Sephardic Jew, and some of those people could have migrated to North Africa. And now this has turned into a headline of this apparent replacement of Shakespeare being a black woman who is Jewish from Africa. Yeah. No, that's not the case. She's white as snow, with an Italian father and an English mother. So that's the point. Now I can actually answer your question when you say, is history being erased? Now I can get there. Back in the game. Okay, forgive me. So, no, it's not. I think that it's important to recognise that we are simply rethinking, rewriting history that has discrepancies and lies that have been exposed over the years. That's my quick answer.
Well, all I was going to add, Iman, is that there's other examples of similar things happening before, but I'll let Joel do the work. Joel, I'll introduce you. What do you make of Iman's comments?
Well, what she said about Emilia Bassano being not black is correct. However, what you should note is that the author of the new book explicitly says in an article, in her own words, on the website of the London School of Economics, that Shakespeare was a black woman. It's not the Telegraph distorting things. She explicitly says this. And
I will concede that point. I will concede that point.
Okay. It's absolutely erasing British history, and unfortunately, this is not the first time. Believe me, this is as sinister as it is silly, because major institutions have been laundering this nonsense. So the BBC, for example, made television programs for kids where they claimed that the Roman Emperor Septimius Severus was black. They showed the Roman army that fighted Boudicca's revolt being mostly black, of course, total rubbish. And of course, Netflix, not so long ago, not British history, but still history nevertheless, decided to tell us that Cleopatra was a black woman.
Iman?
I think that, thank you. I appreciate all of your points, Joel. And I think that anyone that's watching, observing, or experiencing everything that you spoke about has learnt from you. The British erased. They are the masters, the king and queens of erasing history. Let's just be clear on that. And anyone that's concentrating came from you. You are the masters. I'll give you that. British, UK, West are the centre point that we need to refer to in terms of erasing history.
Do you want to point to some examples, Iman?
Let me just finish.
We'll just point to some examples. Give us some examples.
History. Let me just finish, please. Can I just make my point? Thank you. It erased history in terms of Africa and Asia, and also, in fact, if you really want to get close to home, the Irish and the Welsh. During the colonisation. During colonisation, that was all about control, when it erased languages, culture, history, traditions from all of those people, the Irish, the Welsh, the Asians, and the Africans. So if you want to talk about, Joel, how institutional and silly it is to be erasing history, well, yes, we learnt from you, the Westerners, sir. So yeah, maybe it's a little bit of that. I'll leave it at that.
Joel?
She couldn't be more wrong. The British have, in fact, preserved history better than anyone. We haven't sort of erased the histories of these peoples that she described, but in fact preserved them. So the British in India, for example, deciphered the Brahmi script after hundreds, possibly thousands of years of it being forgotten by the Indians, and a whole new chapter of Indian history was unlocked because of the British, who took the Rosetta Stone from Egypt back to the West, where it was studied and eventually unlocked, translating hieroglyphs into modern languages, opening up an entire new frontier of African history, Egyptian history. That was the British,
Black,
and the Rosetta Stone is still okay. Well, that's a different conversation.
Yeah, no, Black Nubian. I don't want to interrupt you because it's incredibly impolite. So please continue, but please just note that when you say that about Egyptians, in terms of what you like to take credit for, which is Eurocentric and West-centric views, you're referring to Egypt in that little soliloquy of yours. And let's just be clear, that came from dark-skinned Black people from Sudan. But
well, if it did, then you're
Eurocentrism, and that's what you're.
Iman, let Joel finish. Let Joel finish. Iman, you can't interrupt everyone else and expect the same decency back to Joel. Go on, Joel.
the great irony, if what you're saying is true, then you're proving my point, because it was the British who unlocked this black history by taking the Rosetta Stone, and then eventually the French deciphering it. Two different scholars worked on it.
Middle East and the French. So it was the Muslims that came first.
No,
and then
no, they didn't.
The French.
Okay, we're getting off topic, but no, the Muslims did not unlock it.
Both of those cohorts. It was black Nubians that came first, then the Middle East, the Middle Eastern Muslims. In fact, it's so funny that this country nowadays likes to talk about how much they have a disconnect in regards to Muslim culture and Muslim ideology, and yet you lot work together really well when it pertains to black people. You're both enslaved black people. Muslims 1,000 years, and you lot about 200 and odd years. And then on top of that, you whitewashed history, which pertains to Egypt, which is your very point, sir. You are whitewashing history, and you're adding Rosetta Stone with your intellect and your tie, hoping that people will be somewhat gullible. I am not. So yeah, let them be gullible.
Let's pass it over to Joel.
It doesn't mean anything when you aren't leading with actual facts.
Let's pass it over to Joel.
I'm quite happy to respond. I'm quite happy to respond to that, or do you want to carry on talking about Shakespeare?
No, Joel, please respond. I'll let you respond to those if you can.
Please.
Yes, I mean, talking about enslavement is quite an irony, given it was Africans enslaving other Africans and selling them to the Europeans. And who was it who ended the slave trade and slavery itself in Africa? Well, it wasn't the Africans. Well, it doesn't have to be a long conversation. It could be a nice short one.
You're right.
It's quite simple. It was the British who ended slavery in most of Africa. It was the British who committed their ships and their money towards patrolling the African coast and making sure that the Africans stopped enslaving other Africans. And it was the African rulers who put up heavy resistance to the British when they were pressurising them to end the trade.
All right. Well, I think on that note, we'll leave it there. Joel, thank you very much for joining for the first time. Pleasure to have you. And, of course, you too, Iman. Really appreciate the healthy debate there, both of you. Thank you very much. We'll see you very shortly, both of you. Good stuff. Coming up, the latest on the collapse of the Chagos deal. I've got a brilliant man, Robert Midgley, joining me, of course, to talk about his delegation going over to Washington, D.C. But before that, 1 in 3 students want to ban reform speakers from attending events on campus. What has happened to free speech at our universities? George Finch, of course, is joining me next. This is Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News.
Hello there, good evening. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Often cloudy with spells of rain over the coming days, with some localised flooding possible, particularly where we have Met Office weather warnings issued. And there is some more wet and windy weather to come as we head into next week. And it's all down to areas of low pressure, one by one, swinging in from the North Atlantic. And even this area of low pressure here this evening will still continue to bring spells of rain across parts of Wales and then later on into Northern Ireland. Still could create some difficult driving conditions and some localised flooding. We'll see a brief dry spell across parts of the southwest before another band of heavy showers starts to move through, and for many areas of the country it is going to be wet and quite cloudy, and possibly even some snow across high ground in Scotland. This leads us into Sunday, and once again it is going to be very unsettled. Across Scotland there will be some spells of rain, this turning to hill snow, perhaps a little dry across the very far north of Scotland, away from any showers in the Northern Isles. Northern Ireland will see some spells of rain, this could be heavy at times, similar across northern parts of England. And then we've got this very heavy band of showers slowly skirting its way eastwards in from the southwest. So Sunday, yes, there will be more clouds, some spells of rain, and quite blustery at times, particularly around western coast, though winds generally easing through the course of the day. But under cloud, under any spells of rain, it is going to be feeling that much chillier, particularly around any eastern coasts. Quite a brisk easterly breeze coming in here, adding on to the chill of things. But otherwise, temperatures themselves around about average for the time of year, highs reaching around 8 degrees Celsius in the south. Into Monday, a drier start for some. Plenty of showers, though, feeding into northeastern coast, still falling as snow across parts of Scotland. Then another band of very wet and windy weather starting to push in from the west. This, too, later on could bring us some hill snow across Scotland and northern parts of England. It's going to remain unsettled into next week. Another area of low pressure hitting us on Tuesday and feeling very cold.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day.
Bulletins here on GB News, the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, you didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock, only on GB News.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. Student unions across the United Kingdom are openly opposing free speech on campus by campaigning to ban Reform UK societies and bar guest speakers from university events. Well, the leader of Warwickshire County Council, George Finch, was invited to speak at Warwick University's PPE Society last week, but the student union responded by sharing concerns about Reform's, quote, disgusting far-right Islamophobia and claim it's carried out disgusting attacks on LGBTQ people. Meanwhile, a new poll of over 1,000 students found that 1 in 3 think Nigel Farage's party should be banned from speaking on events at campuses. Well, Councillor George Finch, leader of Warwickshire County Council, is joining me now to talk about this. George, thank you so much for joining me this evening. So you've been banned from speaking, or at least there's been some quotes about Reform being far-right, Islamophobic, homophobic. What on earth is going on in our universities, and what's your response to those claims?
Well, like I've said many, many times, Alex, is that universities across the country are conveyor belts for communists, and it is appalling to see. You know, when I was at Warwick Uni, I got invited by the PPE Society, and some student swore at me, ran down the aisle of the lecture theatre, leaped over to try and assault me. Luckily, the security guards and the community safety team were there, but it just goes to show that these lefty loonies that are in our universities are very, very dangerous people. And do you know what? The people that were there were clapping and applauding that behaviour. That's the problem here. And I think half of the universities should go. That would probably solve a lot of our problems in our education system.
Yeah, George, it's worrying when we see what should be the home of free speech debate and discussion turning into, like, this sort of proto-fascist almost in that sort of sense, where they want to shut down free speech that doesn't agree with them. How on earth has this happened? Why do you think so many young people are engaging in this kind of behaviour and universities aren't stepping in to sort their unions out, which a lot of the time they paid for, by the way, to rectify the situation? And we, of course, Labour blocked a legislation on free speech at universities when it got into office. What on earth is going on here?
Well, for example, I was on the phone to the police today. They phoned me about this incident, and they informed me that people were saying things like, I hope George is Kirkified, implying that they want to assassinate me. And these are students. And quite frankly, these students have not lived to see tough decisions. Families out there, like in Bedworth, like in my town, there's decisions that you have to, whether the kids are fed or the heating's turned on. Those decisions, it's so hard to make. And these uni students are so lax. They're in their environment. They're on a jolly. They don't even turn up to half of the lectures. And they can sit there and attack me, who's actually trying to make a difference, who is leading an authority, trying to change the whole county, and they're sat there moaning. I think that too long that these champagne socialists have got their way. They've infected our universities. Universities are meant to be freedom of speech, freedom of expression. But the problem is that the lecturers are agreeing with them and allowing them to continue this dangerous rhetoric that is supported by the Greens and Labour, like they did last summer, calling us fascists and racists. And this creates this problem. Now, it is down to the universities to hold them to account. I know that the universities have got very little power over the union, the societies, but they have to hold them to account. But guess what? It's not scaring me. It's water off a duck's back. Unfortunately, it's an occupational hazard. It shouldn't be, but it is in politics. But guess what? I'm going to go to more universities and make sure that these lefty loonies see a bit of common sense.
Oh, good for you, George, for not being afraid by it. But obviously, you're not everybody, and there will be many people, young people, who want to get involved in politics. In fact, I do know somebody who left political commentary, because he was so often attacked by the left. I've had threats, death threats, things thrown at me before, and it isn't for the faint-hearted. What does this set us up for in the future? What does the future of Britain look like if we can't even go and debate sensibly about policy and ideas at universities?
Exactly. You know, and a lot of people know that I was assaulted back in a few months ago, just going to the pub. And that's because someone knew who I was as a reform politician, so decided to assault me. And it just goes to show, and it is very worrying, that I had an email off a student after the university incident saying, "You must have been very brave to go." You have to be brave to go to an education establishment. What has this country turned into? We're a soft touch, and we need to go back to kind of a stiff upper lip. People are too busy feeling stuff. I feel this, I feel that. Oh, I want to think about things. Sometimes you just have to act, and you just have to do things. And that's what the people want us to do, which is why Reform are doing so well. But the way to stop this wokeism, I do genuinely believe, is if you reduce the universities by 50% and encourage more apprenticeship schemes like carpentry, plumbing, plastering, so people have got a real purpose, a trade, something to focus on. They can earn and learn. They're not just sat at unis in their dorms, doing whatever they're doing. They've actually got a purpose. So it gives young people a kind of train of thought on what they want to do in the future. Because most uni students, after they have their degrees, they go off and work in Tesco's or McDonald's, and they get promised this huge payroll afterwards, and it's not real. So you have to manage expectations. If we have more money into apprenticeship schemes, I believe you can solve the education crisis and the wokeism crisis within our schools. Get young people a purpose in life and a future. That's how you solve it. I'm the county council leader. I've been working with our education brief on this, setting up colleges, a satellite college in one of our northern towns, so that our young people that do want to go onto the hands-on trades can, instead of just going into a university. Tony Blair set our youth and me down the pan. He sold us down the pan because he said if we want 50% of young people to go to universities, it's a total lie, and it's failed this country and our future. So we have to reverse that. And that's why I do think that if we did that approach, what I was saying about universities, we would have a very good, bright future for our young people.
George Finch, thank you so much for joining me. That's the leader of Warwickshire County Council. Thank you very much for coming on the show this evening, George. Warwick Students' Union said, their president said this: universities must be places where ideas are debated openly and challenged critically. Following the recent PPE Society event, many students contacted us to share they felt uncomfortable and distressed by rhetoric associated with the speaker and his party. We upheld the law throughout the event and did not attempt to cancel it. The attempted physical disruption of the event was unacceptable, and the abuse directed at PPE members is wrong. Support is available to students affected. Coming up, Leila Cunningham joins me in the studio. But next, the Chagos Islands bill is collapsing as Donald Trump's backlash forces Keir Starmer into quite a shocking retreat. Robert Midgley, a man of great authority on this issue, joins me in the studio to go through all the consequences.
I hope we haven't forgotten anything.
Travel insurance, I tick that box.
Yeah, but remember what you forgot last year.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello, are you heading away this weekend? Storm Ingrid is bringing some very unsettled weather to Portugal and Spain. It's pretty wet and windy elsewhere too. The Canary Islands, though, still seeing plenty of dry weather, not especially warm, however. Very wet weather into Spain and Portugal, and some unsettled weather, thunderstorms across parts of Italy as well as the Balkans. It does look drier, though, towards Greece for the weekend. That wet weather will push eastwards later, though. Bye-bye.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
I'm Michelle Dewberry, this is Jubes & Co with you.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie's here. GB News, Britain's news channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
Bold. They are under no illusion.
Ray.
Are you a human trafficker?
Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get this on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What I'm going to do now, they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. Sir Keir Starmer has been forced to sensationally pull his Chagos Islands bill after swathes of backlash from the United States President Donald Trump and his top team. The legislation was expected to be debated in the Lords on Monday, but was delayed after the Tories warned it could violate a 60-year-old treaty with the United States. Who would have thought it, eh? President Trump turned against the deal earlier this week, saying that Britain's plan to hand the Indian Ocean territory to Mauritius was an act of great stupidity and total weakness. The government insisted that the deal, which critics say could eventually cost Britain £35 billion, which is more than 10 times the original estimate, will still go ahead. Well, there's no one else I'd rather speak to about this. The spokesperson for Friends of the British Overseas Territories, Robert Midgley. Robert, thank you for coming in again 2 weekends in a row now, because this story is not going anywhere. This is an utterly big, massive disaster for Keir Starmer. What's the latest? You're planning a trip as well, I believe, to go and see the American administration. Tell us more about that too.
Look, well, they always say if a story goes over the week, then it becomes a terminal problem with the government. Let's just remember that. But we should remember that this bill is absolutely not dead. The government have not withdrawn it. They've only suspended it.
Yep.
And we need to remember that. Don't get too excited yet. There's three reasons why they have taken it out temporarily. The first one being that Donald Trump obviously made those comments, so they wanted to reopen talks to make sure he's fully on side. The second, which is what Labour government advisors have said, that that they were about to lose through a free-whip Conservative vote on Monday through several amendments. And the third one, which is what you alluded to, is a new legal challenge that has been found in the 1966 treaty. And that states that the US recognises British sovereignty, which overrules this whole argument, to be honest, Alex.
Crazy.
But the government came out kicking and saying, look, we need to secure the base, and they brought out the old security lines. And we've tackled these so many times that the security does not really impede on it because we have sovereignty and we have military exemptions under the ITU and UN clause Articles 48 and 298. So we know there's military exemptions that secure the base entirely. So this doesn't stand on anything, and the next step is that we have to see what Donald Trump does next. As you said, me and my team are going to the US tomorrow, hopefully, and we will be meeting with people right across the board to persuade them to do the right thing now and pull that rug from under Keir Starmer's feet.
Do you feel confident that the Trump administration, whether you speak to Trump or his top team, are going to back Britain on this? Because, of course, we saw this before where we hoped the Americans might intervene, and actually Donald Trump ended up signing it off. So this is a bit of a U-turn.
Yes, I mean, we have lawyers in our team, and they have said all the US actually needs to do now is intervene, put it in writing that they've withdrawn their support. In the treaties in 1966, it does state it needs full US support in order to make any changes to that. So, yes, we do hope to lobby them, to get them fully on side, and then to get them to pull that final straw.
And just briefly, before I open up to the panel here, there was an opportunity for the Tory Lords to kill this bill a week ago. That wasn't taken. Why?
Look, there's a number of reasons why that wasn't taken.
Well, Andrew Rosendale says it was the top of the Tory party. He's just affected to Reform UK. Is there any truth to that, Robert?
From what I understand in the Lords, and I'll be careful my words here because they have become on side to us, the Chief Whip had done a deal in order to get other bills through, which meant sort of giving away the Chagos because we had got to the point where we managed to get numbers for a regret motion, and after that could have come a fatal motion, but then the Chief Whip told them to stand down. So that became a problem. We sort of thought there was no other way to get this through now, and we've been able to speak to the Conservative Party face-to-face with the top team and say, look, we really need to get this through. We need the Whips on side with this. And obviously that came through to us on Thursday and Friday when they finally got behind us, and probably thanks to Donald Trump as well for escalating it, that they put in a 3-line whip for Monday, which made Labour scared and pulled the whip.
There we go. Interesting stuff. Well, Paul, I'll pass it straight over to you from the Labour perspective here. This is a disaster. This is a complete disaster. You've got these loads of lawyers. One of them is the Prime Minister. And you're telling me that Lord Hermer and all these people who bang on about international law don't have a clue about this US treaty that was signed?
It's what's known in the business as a bag of spanners, isn't it, really? I mean, I wouldn't say as far as a disaster, but it is a mess. I think my advice to Robert, though, is you're approaching this very legalistically and all about the treaties and the lines of the treaty. But
much like the Prime Minister did.
But Trump's position on this has nothing to do with the legalistics. It's punishment beating for us not supporting him over Denmark. So that's why he suddenly and Greenland. So that's why he suddenly pivoted away from the deal that was in place with America and saying something completely different to what they were saying a few months ago. So I think you have to look at it through the political prism of what's going on with the states and the geopolitics of that, as well as the legalistic approach to Chagos. I mean, my two observations. One is the Conservatives have got more peers in the House of Lords than Labour do. So if they wanted to kill this, they could have done. And second of all, I think it's a shame that the Chagosians in Crawley and bits of England were not properly consulted.
Yeah, what was the line coming out of the Labour Party? Greenland for the Greenlanders, but not Chagos for the Chagosians. Bit of hypocrisy
the most important thing is the security issue, isn't it? That's the most important.
Let me hear from Linda.
I think the legal approach is the right approach. I think that President Trump, is going to do what he's going to do. And you're right, he does react emotionally, some people would say irrationally, but he's going to do what he wants to do. The point is that you have to pin all this down, legally speaking.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, Lord Cunningham thankfully got on side, pulled up that 1966 treaty, and it says very clearly that United States recognises UK.
But Trump doesn't care.
He doesn't matter, Paul.
He doesn't care about the NATO treaty. Never mind this one.
He doesn't have to care. He just has to go along with it all.
All right, Jonathan, this is a gift for Reform UK. Andrew Rosendale, quite a patriotic MP. I've been to see his office. It's full of Margaret Thatcher Union flags and everything. He's big on the Chagos stuff. He left the Conservative Party and he did point the finger at the Conservative top team and said they didn't do what they needed to do to kill this bill, put the national interest before party interest. Is this another gift for Reform UK?
Well, I think it's more of a gift for the people of the Chagos Islands at the end of the day, with the fact that they have got this, and it's right to say, pause on summary execution, it feels like, with regard to this horrendous deal. Andrew Rosendale is a very principled colleague and a friend, and I enjoyed working with him during my time in Parliament. He would not have made the decision he did unless he felt the Conservative Party not just can't change, just won't change. And the fact that they had the opportunity to kill the bill in the House of Lords and got weak-kneed after some backroom deals and didn't take the opportunity to do what they were busy on the streets, standing side by side with the Chagosian people, is a downright disgrace.
Final thoughts from you, Rob, briefly, if you don't mind.
Look, the way to resolve this now, going into the future, is we resettle Chagosians onto the outer islands, give them self-determination, and allow them to say, yes, we want to stay British, because only a settled Chagosian population that say, well, yes, we can stay British, it's recognised in international law. You can't dispute that whatsoever.
We haven't got time. Sorry, Linda. Sorry, we haven't got time. Let's hope they are. Rob, come back when you're back from America and let us know. Hopefully we'll get a victory by then. Robin Midgley, brilliant as ever. Coming up, Leila Cunningham joins me in the studio to respond to what she has called politically motivated smear campaign against her. That and loads more. It's been such a busy show, hasn't it? I will see you very, very shortly.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello there, good evening. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Often cloudy with spells of rain over the coming days, with some localised flooding possible, particularly where we have Met Office weather warnings issued. And there is some more wet and windy weather to come as we head into next week. And it's all down to areas of low pressure, one by one, swinging in from the North Atlantic. And even this area of low pressure here this evening will still continue to bring spells of rain across parts of Wales and then later on into Northern Ireland. Still could create some difficult driving conditions and some localised flooding. We'll see a brief dry spell across parts of the southwest before another band of heavy showers starts to move through, and for many areas of the country it is going to be wet and quite cloudy, and possibly even some snow across high ground in Scotland. This leads us into Sunday, and once again it is going to be very unsettled. Across Scotland there will be some spells of rain, this turning to hill snow, perhaps a little dry across the very far north of Scotland, away from any showers in the Northern Isles. Northern Ireland will see some spells of rain, this could be heavy at times, similar across northern parts of England. And then we've got this very heavy band of showers slowly skirting its way eastwards in from the southwest. So Sunday, yes, there will be more clouds, some spells of rain, and quite blustery at times, particularly around western coast, though winds generally easing through the course of the day. But under cloud, under any spells of rain, it is going to be feeling that much chillier, particularly around any eastern coasts. Quite a brisk easterly breeze coming in here, adding on to the chill of things. But otherwise, temperatures themselves around about average for the time of year, highs reaching around 8 degrees Celsius in the south. Into Monday, a drier start for some. Plenty of showers, though, feeding into northeastern coast, still falling as snow across parts of Scotland. Then another band of very wet and windy weather starting to push in from the west. This, too, later on could bring us some hill snow across Scotland and northern parts of England. It's going to remain unsettled into next week. Another area of low pressure hitting us on Tuesday and feeling very cold.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
It's the final week to see how you can become our biggest cash prize winner to date, as there's a simply stunning £85,000 in tax-free cash to be won. Go on that dream holiday, buy that brand new car, or just relax in the knowledge that the rest of the year could be on us. But you have to hurry, as lines close on Friday the 30th of January. For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off-limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as
I and now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Ten o'clock, a huge show coming up for you. I'm Alex Armstrong. Tonight,
I think if Andy Burnham wants to be a Member of Parliament, Andy Burnham should be allowed to be a Member of Parliament. I'll try and make time between now and the by-election and go knock some doors for him.
a heated rivalry as the King of the North, Andy Burnham, declares his intention to stand as a Labour MP. But will the Prime Minister and his little cabal block his return to Westminster? Tonight, I will expose his brand of pure vulture politics. Also, a developing story here. Immigration officers have shot dead a man who was allegedly armed during an anti-ICE rally in Minneapolis. Of course, I'll keep you updated as fierce protests are erupting and the United States President Trump accuses local officials of insurrection. Also tonight, shortly, I'm going to be joined by, in the studio, Leila Cunningham, Reform's, of course, candidate for Mayor of London, who says she was the victim of a politically motivated hit piece this week, causing distress to her family and even splitting the political right. Plus,
consider President Trump's remarks to be insulting and, frankly, appalling.
some fascinating news here. Was the King behind President Trump's rowing back about his comments on British troops not being involved in the front lines of Afghanistan? Plus,
to be or not to be? That is the question.
well, the question now is, was Shakespeare a black Jewish woman from North Africa? That is what a feminist academic now claims in her new sensational book. And joining me to go through this incredible news evening is journalist and broadcaster Linda Jubilee, former Labour advisor Paul Richards, and Reform UK member and former Conservative MP Jonathan Gullis. And finally, an anti-ICE protester has hit back at Donald Trump.
So I'm Somali. I'm proud to be Somali. To me, being Somali isn't just eating bananas with rice.
Trust me, you're not going to want to miss what she has to say later in the show. A massive hour, trust me, coming up. But first, let's get your news with Sophia Wensler.
Alex, thank you and good evening. It's just gone 10 o'clock. These are your headlines. Andy Burnham has confirmed he wants to run for Parliament following days of speculation after Andrew Gwynn stood down as an MP on health grounds. There are fears among the Prime Minister's supporters that Mr Burnham could mount a future challenge to his leadership. Burnham, who is currently Mayor of Greater Manchester, has insisted that he wants to back the Labour government, not undermine it. As a directly elected mayor, he has to get approval from Labour's ruling National Executive Committee before he can enter the race to be the party's candidate. That decision is expected to be with us tomorrow. To the US now, where US immigration officers have shot a man dead during an anti-ICE protest in Minneapolis. Police say he was a 37-year-old white Minneapolis resident believed to be a US citizen. A video has been circulating on X appearing to show the shooting. In the footage, a number of masked federal agents can be seen surrounding the man. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz has been giving an update, calling on Trump to end immigration enforcement operations in the state immediately. Meanwhile, the Department of Homeland Security has said the man was allegedly armed and had wanted to, quote, massacre law enforcement. Meanwhile, President Donald Trump accuses the mayor of Minneapolis, Governor Tim Walz, of inciting an insurrection. The reported shooting comes just over 2 weeks since Renee Nicole Good was shot dead by an ICE agent in Minneapolis. In other news, Donald Trump seemed to backtrack on claims British troops stayed away from the front line in Afghanistan after anger over his comments. The US president paid tribute to the great and very brave soldiers of the United Kingdom. It comes after the Prime Minister raised Mr Trump's comments directly with the US president in a conversation today. Sir Keir Starmer had called the remarks insulting and frankly appalling, while Prince Harry also defended the bravery of UK troops. On Truth Social, the US president said Britons were among the greatest of all warriors, as he acknowledged the 457 who died and many who were badly injured. Elsewhere, Donald Trump has threatened to impose a 100% tariff on all Canadian imports if they make a trade deal with China. Taking to Truth Social, Trump wrote, if Governor Carney thinks he's going to make Canada a drop-off port for China to send goods and products into the United States, he is sorely mistaken. China will eat Canada alive, completely devour it, including the destruction of their businesses, social fabric and general way of life. And a German football executive has urged Europe to boycott the 2026 FIFA World Cup after Donald Trump's rhetoric over Greenland and broader foreign policy. Urke Göttlich, a vice president of the German Football Association, said in an interview with German media that the time had come to seriously consider and discuss a boycott. He compared the current moment to the Cold War-era Olympic boycotts of the 1980s. Those are your latest GB News headlines. Now it's back to Alex.
Welcome back to the show, of course. Tonight we're talking about Reform UK's mayoral candidate Leila Cunningham, who has been subject to this week what she calls a politically motivated hit piece, which has caused much distress to her family and led to swathes of abuse online. This has even split the political right, of course, with many accusing her of being hypocritical on illegal migration and on her promises to tackle crime in the capital. Well, I'm pleased to say Leila joins me now. Of course, Leila is Reform UK's London mayoral candidate. Leila, thank you so much for joining me. I think we have to start with this because half an hour before you walked into the studio, the Mirror have released a new headline about you. Of course. Which we'll put up here for our audience to see in just a moment. But it says here, exclusive, Reform bombshell, disgraceful hypocrisy, Farage's anti-crime star campaigned with Tory after we exposed his white powder shame. I'll let you take it from here, but what do you make of these allegations? They're saying that you posed with a guy, a Tory councillor who was basically caught, doing cocaine or something of the likes. What do you make of this? It's another smear piece on you, is it?
It is another smear piece, and I'm quite surprised, actually, because, number one, they failed to mention that they sent someone into his house. They paid him to go to his house with a camera on his lapel and bring cocaine, this is what he says, and film it, and they fed it back to the Mirror. And, he was a civilian at that time. He was basically the chairman of Westminster North. No need to go after him. But it caused him a lot of trouble. He's a reservist in the army. They did a drug test. He was completely exonerated, no drugs in his body. He was exonerated by the army, taken back in, and taken back in by the Conservatives. This was another stitch-up to ruin someone's life, a young man's life, just for a cover piece.
Yeah, and there's a difficulty here, because I understand, and I find it very hard to attack somebody when they've just been spotted in a photo with someone. Now, of course, this was before you defected, is that correct?
Yes, we were campaigning together.
Yeah, and why have the Mirror not gone after this guy, and why have they gone after you? Why have they not gone after the Tories for this?
Because it's attack reform, reform, reform. You know, obviously they're scared that I could win and defeat Mayor Khan. I mean, for the first time in the bookies, I have better odds than him. The odds put me at 40%, they put him at 28%. Not really happened in the past 10 years. And I think they're running scared. You know, people aren't believing their lies anymore.
All right, well, let's go back to the other headline the Mirror wrote about you as well. I think this has caused some on the right, particularly in Advanced UK, to come after you. This is regarding your mother's hotel down not too far from here. Many people are accusing your mother of running a squatters hotel or an illegal migrant hotel, and I'll tell you why, because they're saying that there's inability to book rooms online in the future. They're saying the people in there that they may or may not have interviewed, they're just alleging this, by the way, have no idea how much they're paying, and they don't know how long they're staying for. Is there any truth behind any of those allegations?
Zero truth. You can book it on Booking.com, TripAdvisor. Maybe some platforms are not working, but you can definitely book it. Listen, it's a low-budget hotel right by Hyde Park, and it's right across the road from the Whiteleys, which is a $5 billion development. I can assure you, a migrant hotel, it would be known if it was there. You'd have security guards. She's run it for 40 years. And listen, I'm not here to be a victim. They can come at me with whatever they want. I don't scare easily, Alex. But, you know, my mum is 92. She came to the country with nothing, worked many jobs. And, you know, when she bought this place, she felt she'd made it in this country. You know, she had a business. She's very proud of it. She doesn't want to sell it. And it's run. And, you know, she was crying the other day because she's like, why are they attacking me? I've done nothing wrong. It provides, you know, backpackers. You know, it's cheap. And so... It is a big smear campaign. The fact that some random person rocked up in two nights in a row and pretended to speak to people, you know, I'm not going to give it any credence or any flame because that's just what she wants.
The Mirror have said that there's the hotel allegedly, given that there's some reviews online calling it unsafe, you own 5% of that business, which you can tell me whether you do or don't. I'm not sure. That's what Companies House supposedly shows, that you might have some responsibility to make sure that that hotel is safe for people who live there, particularly if you're cracking down or going to be the new sheriff in town, as you say.
So I own 5%, but I have absolutely no operational oversight of it. But people get robbed. Number one, I don't even know if that's true. They did quote anonymous sources. It's a different matter if there is crime being conducted by the staff. Everyone gets, you know, I've prosecuted many people who've had things stolen from a room across all hotels. It doesn't make it actually shows another reason why I'm trying to fight crime, because there is crime happening in my mother's business where people potentially, I haven't heard of it, are stealing things from people's rooms. It just shows how rampant crime is. But I can categorically say it's never been a migrant hotel. My mum's not interested in that. And to smear it like that actually ruins her business, right? It's defamatory to the business. But listen, we're going to take it on the chin. You know, I don't scare easily, and they can come at me with whatever they want. I just say, just leave, you know, my mum out of it. We've answered the question now. And that's it, really.
Do you think there's a double standard towards the way that the press go after right-wing politicians over their private lives and over their families, as opposed to left-wing politicians?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, who the hell reads the Mirror? Do you know? I mean, everyone knows what the Mirror is. It's just a tabloid that spews hate and untruths. And so I don't even understand the point of the story. The second one, that I've been taking a photo with someone.
Yeah, well, I have to admit...
That's their cover, Alex.
Yeah, no, I have to admit, when I first saw this, I mean, I hadn't been able to read. I have read the article now, but I don't really know what they're meant to be accusing you of here, of being in a picture with somebody. I don't know how that's headline news, frankly, with everything else going on in the world, but I'm sure the Mirror disagree with me strongly on that one.
You know,
but you know, what I mean by right-wing politicians being held to a different standard, I'd like to open up to the rest of my panel here in just a second too. What I mean by right-wing politicians being held to a different standard is that Boris Johnson's private life, one of the most famous examples, was dragged through the press. His affairs, his children, there's still speculation of how many kids he's got. Now, there's allegations thrown at left-wing politicians. I won't say them on this show because that's not what we do here. But is it an unfair attack? Do you get held to a different standard, held to a different standard because you're right-wing?
100%. And listen, I value being held to a high standard. I think all politicians should be held to the highest standard possible. Ask the difficult questions, but don't lie. You know, when you get an answer, if you don't have proof, don't insinuate things that are not true, because that's why people don't trust mainstream media anymore, although the Mirror, I'm not sure it's mainstream, but they don't trust mainstream media anymore because they no longer report the news. They try and sway public opinion and they try and sway political opinion. And that's why nobody reads them anymore.
Yeah. All right, well, let's open this up to my panel. Jonathan, being the other former MP on the panel here, you've got a bit of experience of being in the spotlight. What's your experience of headlines being written about you, articles written about you? Is there a lot of truth behind them? Is there a lot of speculation, a lot of twisting of the narrative, in your opinion?
I mean, it's amazing. I think I've seen a story once written about alleging to be someone who'd spoken to an alleged pupil that I once taught about me giving a detention to someone for photoshopping my face onto a seagull, but it was picked up via Reddit through an anonymous account, but that now apparently classifies as news, which is just completely absurd, because simply I can't say, oh, I can't rule it out, because guess what? In the 8 years I was a state secondary school teacher, I can't remember every detention I ever issued in my time. I've obviously, you know, even had ridiculous stories where my first meeting with a Reform UK branch, that was in the Stoke Sentinel headline thing. I mean, it is a political smear campaign against Leila. She's a rising star within the Reform UK movement, a rising star within the political scene. She's going to be a fantastic mayor of London, and it's just a downright disgrace that, you know, the crime on the second article is to pose for a photo with someone. I mean, if that's the standard we're holding everyone's going to be wanting to delete Instagram instantly or Facebook, every politician. I mean, what I'd like the Mirror to focus on is the fact that sexual offences are a record high under Mayor Khan with 27,000 cases. The fact that there's 11 shoplifting incidents happening every hour, and that with knife crime, we've seen an increase of nearly 72% since Mayor Khan came into power. Why is the Mirror not focusing on the fact that these streets are so unsafe, people are moving out of London, rather than just these ridiculous smears?
Also, Alex, just quickly, they're so focused on it. I'm solely focused on fixing crime and fighting crime. And they're so focused on attacking me, not on the people causing the crime or the people letting crime happen. That just shows where their priorities lie.
OK, yeah. Paul, what do you make of this left-wing press here? Do you think this is a ridiculous headline? Do you disagree with it? Do you think it's fair to drag people's past out to portray a picture of them? What do you think? And Keir Starmer obviously stopped a second Levinson inquiry, hasn't committed himself to doing it. Do you think we need to have higher standards for the press?
Well, I do believe in high journalistic standards, and if the standard is that anyone had a photograph with anyone else who's got a dodgy past, then we're all of us, I think, going to be guilty of that. So
but I must defend him, sorry. He doesn't have a dodgy past. He was exonerated.
Well,
this was, again, they made a smear against him.
But you get the point I'm making. Yeah. I think I deplore utterly the kind of racism and misogyny that Leila is facing online. Absolutely. I mean, some of the stuff I've seen when I dip in is absolutely horrific, and that's unfair. That's not how politics should be conducted. If you stand on a law and order ticket, then you will be, you know, any candidate standing on that ticket, left or right, will have their own background looked into, but it shouldn't affect their family. It should be on the policy, and it should be on the manifesto, and that's what should be under scrutiny, not the private life.
But why don't you sue the Mirror for defamation?
Well, because number one, I don't have the inclination to waste my time. I'm solely focused on building a campaign to fight crime.
But if we think they're in a long-running smear campaign, it might make sense to take affirmative action like that early on.
Well, they've accused me of hypocrisy. That could be a personal opinion in terms of a legal opinion. I was in a photo with him. It's not actually for me to sue him. It's for the person who they're accusing of a dodgy past to sue them. They might think I'm hypocritical. That's a personal opinion. It's hard to defame someone.
But the earlier story, you could also accuse them of defamation in that as well.
But they never alleged that my mother's hotel was a migrant hotel. Trust me, they looked and they tried to find it, and there's absolutely no evidence.
Who
that never has
manages your
been.
mother's hotel?
The Mirror. So
no. Who manages your mother's hotel? She doesn't, because she's 92.
No, I mean she has a team that manages it. Obviously,
internal. It's not outsourced to a management team.
I mean, my mum's hotel is irrelevant here, right? I'm not going to sit and discuss who manages my mum's hotel. The point is that someone online alleged that my mum's hotel was a migrant hotel. It never was, never has been, and definitely is not now. It is a small budget B&B, and it is her business. And she's had it for many, many years. And my mum's 92. She feels that if she sells the business, she'll die. You know, it
keeps her going.
It keeps her going. It gives her a purpose in life.
Leila, how has this affected your family? Because, you know, I strongly believe that your private life and your family should never be dragged into politics. It is so below the waist, such gutter politics.
Agreed.
How does your family feel about this?
So my siblings initially were very upset, and then they laugh at it. They're like, "Oh my God, is that all they've got?" My mum was upset. My mum was offended. Because she actually didn't know this side of politics. You know, she never knew it existed. She's like, I don't get. Well, why are they doing this? What's the benefit? And so for my mum, I'm upset. But you know, she doesn't see all these headlines.
But Angela Rayner was dragged through for the nature of her relationship with a man. That was a private relationship. You know, the media behaved badly towards politicians of any stripe. And there's lots of examples this year, last year, where people's private lives are being poured over and put all over the tabloids.
The Mail will be different. They'll have different targets.
And what is
That's what middle-market tabloid newspapers...
The Mail
and the Sun. I mean, look at the Sun.
No, they won't write anything about you.
No.
But they'll write things about left-wing politicians.
Starmer's donkey farm or whatever, you know.
If there is wrongdoing and it verges into your private life, then it's fair game, right? Because if you are running on a ticket of law and order, like Paul says, I like a high standard, and I want to run by a high standard, and I want the press to investigate. All I'm asking is, don't lie. That's it. Or don't write in innuendos. Just be straight. If you find something about me that is in the public interest, by all means, you know, I'm more than happy to face the consequences of any actions I did, though I haven't. And if that's all you've got, then, you know.
Well, Leila Cunningham, thank you so much for joining me, despite not knowing what was going to pop up on this Mirror front page here. I guess good timing in some respects, because it's given you an opportunity to respond directly to this front page here. Thank you so much for coming in this evening. Really appreciate it. Time now for a Great British giveaway, and you've got a few days left to see how you can become our biggest cash winner. 85 grand in tax-free cash. Here's all the details you need to win it.
It's the final week to see how you can become our biggest cash prize winner to date, as there's a simply stunning £85,000 in tax-free cash to be won. Go on that dream holiday, buy that brand new car, or just relax in the knowledge that the rest of the year could be on us. £85,000 really could be yours to make 2026 your best year yet. But you have to hurry, as lines close on Friday the 30th of January. For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. The winner may be contacted live on GB News, week commencing 9th of February. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Right, well, an incredible front-page story on The Sun this evening. Breaking. King Charles is allegedly behind President Trump's military backtrack this evening after the King's concerns over his slur on NATO troops were passed to the White House. President Trump said British war heroes were among the greatest of all warriors 48 hours after he triggered fury by saying they stayed a little back, a little off the front lines. Well, King Charles and Camilla are expected to visit Trump in the United States in April as part of the 250th anniversary of US independence. Wouldn't that be quite a coup for King Charles, eh? Well, after the break, an Afghanistan veteran is joining me to talk exactly about this story. We will see you very shortly.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk
No,
now?
that's it. This is where it matters. Real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
Of the autistic Barbie.
Well, made by Mattel, this latest offering
in the Barbie brand, launches a new neurodiverse doll.
Yeah, but lots of people reacting to this, saying it's too political and even virtue signalling. We're asking this morning, has Barbie gone woke?
Joining us now, Paula London, who's a commentator on all sorts of social events, and the author, academic and activist Lisa McKenzie. We say hello, good morning to you. Now, tell me this, which one of you would cuddle a Barbie, this new Barbie doll? Which one of you would do it?
I think if I was a little girl, you know, Barbie's Barbie, isn't she? You know, this is something that Mattel has done for many, many years. You know, the first astronaut Barbie was 1985. We've got wheelchair user Barbie, we've got mermaid Barbie, we've got there are so many different Barbies, and I think with this, again, there's another story to this. It's been, this Barbie is being made in with a charity, so it's about offering little girls a different type of Barbie, but it's also about showing that girls with autism are also, you know, part of society.
I have ADHD, and up to 50% of all women that have ADHD fit into the criteria for autism, and I found it rather almost offensive that the autistic Barbie has eyes that don't look directly in front, also has an iPad for communication, has noise-cancelling headphones, and up to 1 million people have autism in this country. Some people don't realise.
GB News, the People's Channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
What a show, hey? Welcome back. Donald Trump has backtracked on claims British troops stayed away from the front line in Afghanistan. In a statement posted on Truth Social this evening, he said that British soldiers were among the greatest of all warriors and were great and very brave. Let's remind ourselves of the president's original comments about NATO forces.
We have never really asked anything of them. You know, they'll say they sent some troops to Afghanistan or this or that. And they did. They stayed a little back, a little off the front lines.
Well, I'm delighted to say Army veteran who served in Afghanistan, Gary Doyle, is joining me now. Gary, thank you for coming on GB News. We thank you for your service, first of all, to our country. How has the original tweet or Truth Social post, should I say, made you feel? And has his apology gone in any way whatsoever to make you feel any reprieve about what he's done?
Yeah, I was outraged. Yeah, veteran mates as well. Absolutely disgusted by his comments, and I don't think his apology, what he said again about it further has made no difference, because we don't believe he means it either. I think he's just saying it because he realises he's made a mistake.
Gary, there was a breaking news on the front page of The Sun today that claims that King Charles has intervened here and sent his, displeasure at the statements have gone somewhat to Donald Trump ahead of his state visit. Do you applaud, here's the front page on The Sun, just on your screens now for all of you at home, Trump backs down after concern by King. Do you think the King has a bit of a coup here for our King, Charles? Of course, he is the head of our armed services.
I don't know, because it's from The Sun, but I don't believe a thing what The Sun writes, to be honest. It's a horrible paper. But, yeah, it probably might have done, but I'm not too sure. I haven't read the paper today.
Gary, how have your colleagues, your other veterans felt, people you served with in Afghanistan, have they felt any relief from Donald Trump's backtracking this evening at all, or has it really made your mind up about Donald Trump? And what was your opinion? What was your opinion of Donald Trump before this started?
I think to be honest, we think he's a bit of a clown, but he's funny sometimes. He just comes out with some mad stuff like it's just I don't know. We don't take him seriously, but the lads they're not happy about it, and obviously not going to change what they said initially, because that's absolutely disgusting what he said. It's not very nice at all.
Gary, we've got a picture of you.
I've lost quite a few friends. There was 3 lads from my regiment who died in Afghanistan.
This is a picture of you in Afghanistan on the screen now, I believe, Gary, as well.
Yeah.
A difficult time. Did you serve alongside Americans as well when you were on the front lines there?
Very briefly. The Americans who we worked alongside with, they were all right. We've come across quite a few Americans who were quite rude as well. I can remember a lot of the locals didn't trust them, to be fair. Not because they weren't scared of them, they just didn't like their attitude as well. But yeah, we got on with the Afghans because we were dead polite to them, and us British culture in general.
Yeah, exactly.
We're lovely, do you know what I mean?
Gary, thank you very much. Well, thank you very much for joining me this evening to talk about this. I've got veterans in my immediate family who served in Afghanistan as well, so I know how much of a difficult that job that was. And thank you so much for your service to our great country. And thank you for coming on GB News this evening. We really appreciate having veterans on this show always. Thank you, Gary.
Thank you.
After the break, I'll bring you all of tomorrow's front pages, and Mark White will be joining me for another story. This is Alex Armstrong tonight, only on GB News.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello, are you heading away this weekend? Storm Ingrid is bringing some very unsettled weather to Portugal and Spain. It's pretty wet and windy elsewhere too. The Canary Islands, though, still seeing plenty of dry weather, not especially warm, however. Very wet weather into Spain and Portugal, and some unsettled weather, thunderstorms across parts of Italy as well as the Balkans. It does look drier, though, towards Greece for the weekend. That wet weather will push eastwards later, though. Bye-bye.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello there, good evening. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Often cloudy with spells of rain over the coming days, with some localised flooding possible, particularly where we have Met Office weather warnings issued. And there is some more wet and windy weather to come as we head into next week. And it's all down to areas of low pressure, one by one, swinging in from the North Atlantic. And even this area of low pressure here this evening will still continue to bring spells of rain across parts of Wales and then later on into Northern Ireland. Still could create some difficult driving conditions and some localised flooding. We'll see a brief drier spell across parts of the southwest before another band of heavy showers starts to move through, and for many areas of the country it is going to be wet and quite cloudy, and possibly even some snow across high ground in Scotland. This leads us into Sunday, and once again it is going to be very unsettled. Across Scotland there will be some spells of rain, this turning to hill snow, perhaps a little dry across the very far north of Scotland, away from any showers in the Northern Isles. Northern Ireland will see some spells of rain, this could be heavy at times, similar across northern parts of England. And then we've got this very heavy band of showers slowly skirting its way eastwards in from the southwest. So Sunday, yes, there will be more clouds, some spells of rain, and quite blustery at times, particularly around western coast, though winds generally easing through the course of the day. But under cloud, under any spells of rain, it is going to be feeling that much chillier, particularly around any eastern coasts. Quite a brisk easterly breeze coming in here, adding on to the chill of things. But otherwise, temperatures themselves around about average for the time of year, highs reaching around 8 degrees Celsius in the south. Into Monday, a drier start for some. Plenty of showers, though, feeding into northeastern coast, still falling as snow across parts of Scotland. Then another band of very wet and windy weather starting to push in from the west. This, too, later on could bring us some hill snow across Scotland and northern parts of England. It's going to remain unsettled into next week. Another area of low pressure hitting us on Tuesday and feeling very cold.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk
No,
now?
that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Alex Armstrong Tonight. Some breaking news for you now. A new nationwide police force will be established to fight the most complex and serious crimes across the UK, the Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood has announced. For all the details on this, I'm now joined by our Home and Security Editor, Mark White. Mark, thank you so much for joining me on the show this evening. Tell us more about this breaking news.
Well, this is a huge development in policing. It's the biggest shake-up of policing since the police service was founded some 2 centuries ago. For the first time, a national police service will be set up to take in the most serious elements of policing. At the moment, you have, for instance, counter-terrorism policing that's run centrally by the Metropolitan Police with a number of regional counter-terrorism units across the country. You've also got the National Crime Agency, of course, dealing with serious and organised crime, dealing with the people smuggling issue, dealing with the likes of child abuse online, all those kinds of major significant criminal activity. That will be absorbed also into this new police service, along with regional crime units as well. The thinking behind it is to have this big central police force with a commissioner who would be the most senior police officer in the land, able to devote the kind of expert resources to these most serious and complex crimes, and that would free up regional police forces. Of course, we have a model of some 43 police forces throughout England and Wales. They would then be free to really concentrate on the core business of the day-to-day criminality that blights so many communities right up and down the country. It is a decision that already at this early stage is being greeted very positively by senior commanders within the police service. The National Police Chiefs Council represents police chiefs, police constables, chief constables right across the country, has welcomed this. The Metropolitan Police, who have responsibility for counter-terrorism policing, have welcomed this. For other former senior officers, again, are behind this. But of course, it all depends on how this force is actually structured, how it's funded, what the details will be. But there's no doubt that this is a very significant development, a major departure for this government in the model of policing that we have in the UK, with this national overarching police force dealing with the most complex of crimes, freeing up regional police forces to get about their core business.
Again, on this story, of course, policing across the country has been squeezed over the years. I'm assuming the Home Secretary is going to have to hire a new raft of police officers. Is there any clarity on how many people she's expecting to hire for this new role, and how many will come from existing forces yet, Mark?
Well, there will be an element of that, there's no doubt. But remember, there are people in offices doing those jobs at the moment. So what you will get is a more centralised command structure, so that those officers, for instance, the National Police Air Service, so all of the helicopters, the drones and the aircraft that police forces use. Currently, it's controlled by West Yorkshire Police. Bizarrely, but it is. That will come to this new National Police Service. Roads policing as well. That's operated out of Sussex, even though it's a nationwide service. So that will come within the remit of the National Police Service. So all the people that are doing these jobs will now be answerable to the command structure within the National Police Service itself. So yes, there will be extra resources that are required, there's no doubt, but there will be efficiencies in bringing this together. There will be expertise. The computer systems operating for this new police service should work better, should be more streamlined and able to support regional forces, because what you have at the moment are now some very serious and complex crimes that smaller regional police forces can really struggle to get a handle on, because they just don't have the resources and the expertise to do this. This national framework should be able, in theory, to come in and to do that. So that's why it's being welcomed by policing leaders. And for me, having followed policing for many, many years now, there's no doubt this is a bold and very different and new step forward. It could be a very significant positive change going forward.
Mark, while I've got you, there's another breaking story I'd like to get your thoughts on here. It's a bit of a crazy evening, isn't it? Police have made a number of arrests at HMP Wormwood Scrubs this evening after protesters breached prison grounds. In an update on the incident posted to X, the Metropolitan Police said the group were protesting in support of Palestine, a Palestine Action prisoner on a hunger strike. The protesters refused to leave the grounds, allegedly blocked prison staff from entering and leaving, as well as threatening police officers. Mark, bring us more on this story too.
Well, you pretty much said it. That's what's happened. It's a protest that has taken place in support of one particular Palestine Action prisoner at that jail who has been on hunger strike. It's a disruptive protest that is serious in the sense that it has breached the perimeter of the prison, that these activists have managed to get in through an entrance in Wormwood Scrubs prison itself, a staff entrance, refused to leave, refused to allow prison staff to either get into the prison or indeed to leave the prison. Police have been called. They've made a number of arrests, and the operation is still continuing as we speak, but a significant and serious development as it involves a breach within the prison grounds.
Yeah, shocking stuff. An evening of crime and law and order, eh, Mark? Thank you so much for joining me on the show this evening. Let's bring this over to my panel here. Journalist and broadcaster Linda Jubilee's here, former Labour advisor Paul Richards, and Reform UK member and former Conservative MP Jonathan Gullis is here too. Jonathan, this is... let's maybe start. Should we start with which bit should we go with first? Should we go with these protesters? Because I think this is going to be quite outrageous to people watching. They've broken into a prison now over this hunger strike that's been going on for days and days and days now. They've been supported by certain MPs in Parliament over this. We saw Zara Sultana show up in solidarity, as she says, with hunger strike protesters before. But now they've broken into the prison. And we've seen Palestine Action do something similar on a military base. Is this whole Palestine stuff getting beyond the pale now? Will British people stomach this much longer?
Well, I think the British public are already sick to the backbone of it, when they already have seen thousands of officers and millions of pounds out of their local policing budgets in their local communities coming down to London each and every week to deal with what is the hate marches. People out there spewing their vile anti-Semitism on the streets of London, waving the Palestine flag. That is a symbol, not a flag of a nation, a symbol to oppress people who are either Jewish or pro-Israel. And someone like myself who's a proud Zionist, someone who's proud to support, obviously, the State of Israel, and someone who understands that those terrorist attacks on the 7th of October is something that we should therefore, as an ally of Israel, be supporting. But instead, these people fundamentally hate our allies. They therefore, in turn, will hate our country too. Yeah. And it's just a downright sick disgrace. And the fact that they're trying to now intimidate prison officers who are just trying to go about their job, a job which is already challenging enough, those people doing that should be banged up and to get a taste of what life is like inside. And I'm sure very quickly, Tarquins and all that lot will be getting very upset and calling mummy and daddy to bail them out.
Well, yeah, I'm sure they will be. Let's go to this big policing story, Linda, as well, because, of course, this is a massive restructuring of policing in Britain. This could cause, I mean, whilst it's being hailed, and I do like a bit of centralisation in some cases, because I think policing across Britain is clearly broken. There's two-tier here, two-tier there. Many people will point to the fact and say this is going to draw expertise from local areas. They're going to have to be replaced. We don't have enough police officers as it is. Is this the right time to be creating such a massive
We've already got a serious and organised crime section of the police, which deals, the clue is in the title. So I'm not quite sure how this is all going to work. But I do agree that local police, should be left to do local policing issues, because there is so much concern. There's a great deal of concern in the town where I live about shoplifting, about personal crimes, while the police are occupying themselves with so-called hate crimes. Now, that's what we should be looking at. We should make sure that local police are fighting that kind of crime that people find personally very difficult to deal with. They should be concentrating on that. I don't think there's anything wrong with this in principle, but I worry that it's just window dressing, that it's just somehow, you know, you can put lipstick on a pig, but it's still a pig, isn't it?
Well, this is the thing, right? And we're talking a lot about law and order, Paul. We're talking a lot about crime lately. This has been a big talking point. Actually, Leila Cunningham was just in the room. Reform UK are making a big thing about crime in Britain. Is this only in response to the political atmosphere around crime in the country? British people feel like crime is going up and they feel unsafer. Is that what this is?
Well, I think it's a response to the crisis in policing itself. And I think Shabana Mahmood is emerging as one of the great stars of this government because she's shaking up a public service, as you were hearing in your report there, in a very fundamental way. We're not going to lose sight of the founding principles of our police, so the Peel-like principles of citizens in uniform, policing by consent, it's a local service. But we are going to get this national effort to beat crime because, of course, when the Victorians were beating crime, it was the local wrong-uns that they were banging up. Now crime is international and national and, of course, transcends the boundaries of the 43 constabulary. So you do need to have that constabulary force that Shabana's talking about. But I think it will make a huge difference. And, you know, one of the things this government is going to be judged on is going to be crime and disorder. So that's why she's doing it. But what a superstar. You know, she's actually getting on with the job, right?
Jonathan, what do you make of this new policy to have this big national unit to tackle crime? Is it the right time? Is this in response to other political parties putting pressure on the government, or is this simply the right thing to do?
Well, look, I've spoken to quite a few police officers serving and who have left the service, and they're warmly receiving this as well. Look, the devil's always in the detail, and the government will ultimately be delivered on judged on what it actually delivers. But what they did say to me was, with 43 forces trying to all tackle things like serious crime, you've got a lot of replication in the system. And actually the replication means everyone's pooling for a smaller amount of resource and actually pinching the best and the brightest off each other. This will, in some ways, help to save money, enable the reduction, hopefully, of headcount in backroom staff and the pooling of resources across the country, and should therefore free up dedicated officers back on the beat, which is what we all fundamentally want. So I welcome it in a sense of from the people I trust, the people who lived and breathed this job day in, day out. They're saying we should welcome it. I will actually judge it, though, when I see serious criminals banged up.
And just very briefly, Alex, don't forget Shabana's also abolished the Police and Crime Commissioners, which will save a lot of money.
That's a great move, by the way.
It is a great move. What a waste of money, the Police and Crime Commissioners. We've seen how they handled the West Midlands debacle, which that bloke should have been sacked, quite frankly, but there you go. Listen, we'll move on, because I really do want to bring you tomorrow's front pages tonight. The Express lead with more Russian spy attacks on the UK. There's a lot to dig into, trust me. We'll see you in just a tick.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast. Every day from 6 a.m.
Agree with me that that's had some kind of impact on what's gone on today, that defeat at Macclesfield, because that was a hell of a loss.
It probably was the final straw for Oliver, really. I think I thought really from pre-season, Aidan, that he wasn't happy. He didn't get the players he wanted in. You know, he was going to lose Guy at some stage. Mateta might go now, and then Wharton, they're all talking about. I think he just thinks after the Macclesfield thing, you know, this is the best time for me. And I can't see him staying there. I think Steve Parish will be looking after himself now and looking at what he can do to rectify it. And it wouldn't surprise me if he leaves in the next few weeks, really, because once your mind's made up to go, Aidan, it's very difficult for the dressing room. The lads who aren't in the team, you know, will be quite pleased that he's going. You know, and it causes eruptions, really. And You know, like I say, it didn't surprise me. When I was there, it was like extracting teeth in the summer, getting a player in. You just couldn't get them in. Honestly, it was a nightmare. And I could tell with his interviews in pre-season, he wasn't very happy. So it doesn't surprise me at all. And it's a fabulous club as well.
You mentioned the dressing room there, Neil. Now, I've known you many, many years now. I can just imagine your reaction if you qualify for something as magnificent as the Europa League, first time in the club's history, but you weren't able to go there because of a clerical error, effectively. How annoyed would Oliver Glasner have been, do you feel?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, for a club like Crystal Palace to qualify is unbelievable. And you know, to beat Man City, you're on a high.
GB News, the People's Channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show. It's not a bad brand. Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What does she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
All right, let's return. Well, not return, but let's go to the front pages, shall we? The Observer. Heated rivalry. Andy Burnham kicks off the contest for number 10. The Express. Russian spies will step up attacks on the UK. The Independent. Burnham takes the fight to Starmer with bid to become MP. Oh, that's the next one I'm going to say. Oh, there it is, the Sunday Times. Burnham throws down gauntlet. The Sun. Trump backs down after concern by King. The Mirror. Well, we've covered this story already tonight because we had Leila Cunningham here in the studio. Disgraceful hypocrisy, they say. The Mail. Starmer is cornered. The Telegraph. Starmer faces civil war over Birmingham. It is another bloodbath. I can't tell you how many weekends I've had to report bloodbath stories for Keir Starmer. It's becoming relentless. I mean, he had a bit of reprieve when Angela Rayner was having a bloodbath for a few weeks, but not good news. Let's go. Let's just pop up the front page of the Observer, shall we? Because I think it's got a nice big picture, so you can get an idea of the heated rivalry between the two, which I think is a play on a TV show, which I won't go into much detail about. Burnham, here's the big story on the front pages here, Jonathan. This is going to create a Labour psychodrama, isn't it?
Absolutely. Look, my favourite line in Burnham's letter was that he's contacted the Prime Minister and given him every assurance he's not here to undermine him or cause any problems. Whilst also, I think from that, was it David Brent, there's a gift going on, as he's on the phone, he's doing this at the same time. So, look, I can tell you now, because I've lived through this psychodrama when I was in the Conservative Party in last Parliament, any future leadership contest, which is what 100% going to happen if Andy Burnham does return as a Member of Parliament, is going to leave a Labour Party further internally divided from different camps. It's going to lead to a Labour Party spending at least 3 months debating amongst itself wealth taxes, Gaza, net zero, trans rights and everything else, while the rest of the country is worried about the price of the food in their shopping basket, still at 4.5% inflation rate. So it's going to be the final nail in the coffin for this entire Labour Party, let alone Sir Keir Starmer. So that's why Sir Keir Starmer has to be bold. He has only one option, and I say this to someone who's being more of a commentator here, has to block Burnham. And if he doesn't, he might as well resign, because it's going to happen anyway.
Yes. You'd say that if that pathway becomes open, it's check for Andy Burnham. It's check.
So this is interesting, right? Because if he backs down... Paul, I want to get your thoughts on this, Paul, because I can see you in the corner over there, in the corner of my eye. If he backs down and stops Burnham, and his mates stop Burnham from... He'll point to the NEC, go, I have nothing to do with it, blah, blah, which we know will be rubbish. He looks like a coward, he looks weak, and it'll give his enemies in Parliament more ammunition to go, do you know what, this guy, we've got to get rid of him. It will also play up to the rumours that he's a dictator, very well, doesn't want his political rivals coming up against him, and it will prove that he can't stand up to someone like Andy Burnham, who, in the latest opinion polls on him, I was checking them on YouGov the other day, 42% of people said they don't know about whether they like Andy Burnham or not. And I always think when they say don't know, they either mean they don't know what you stand for, don't know who you are. So shouldn't he just take the fight to Andy Burnham and try and win his corner?
Well, I'm sure Sir Keir is listening closely to all this excellent
I'm sure he is.
He named me in Parliament, Paul, recently, so if he wants to give me a call, he's welcome to.
I'm sure it's all very well meant and well intended. Well, look, this committee will meet to decide whether or not this particular sitting mayor should be allowed to give up the role to which he's been already elected and become a candidate, or at least put himself into the mix to try and be a candidate. It could be at that stage they say, well, actually, mate, can you carry on doing the job you've been elected to do? We don't want a by-election with the focus being on you taking over the country rather than just representing the people of Gorton and Denton. Nor do we, as you were saying earlier, Jonathan, about opening up the question then of a by-election for the mayoralty, the whole of Manchester up for grabs.
And we're excited about that in Reform UK, I can tell you that.
I mean, that's going to cost a lot of money, if nothing else. You know, it's a lot of money the Labour Party doesn't have.
Well, it's quite clear that you're not a big fan of Andy Burnham.
Well, I'm a great fan of Andy Burnham. He's doing a great job in Manchester.
But you don't want him as Prime Minister.
So, you know, and I would say, I mean, I've known Andy a very long time, and I've known him through all of his different incarnations, from, you know, straight out of Cambridge and then into London and part of the London scene. And, you know, obviously as an Evertonian, we have disagreements on football because I actually support the Manchester team. But, you know, we've had a relationship all those years. But I just think he's doing a great job. And I just think it would open up all of the things you're describing there. Yeah. You know, all the psychodrama would be opened up for years to come.
But just remind us of the numbers of the NEC. What are the numbers like?
Well, there's 10 people.
Yeah, very briefly.
Very briefly.
Well, 10 people have to decide this over tomorrow or Monday.
And six of them, I believe, are Keir Starmer supporters.
I think about 6 will vote with
OK.
Starmer.
We've got to leave it there. We've got to leave it there. But we will talk more about this. There's a lot here to dig into. Trump's backing down after the King, Starmer's cornered, and the US wants to rip up the Chagos deal. That's coming up next.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello there, good evening. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Often cloudy with spells of rain over the coming days, with some localised flooding possible, particularly where we have Met Office weather warnings issued. And there is some more wet and windy weather to come as we head into next week. And it's all down to areas of low pressure, one by one, swinging in from the North Atlantic. And even this area of low pressure here this evening will still continue to bring spells of rain across parts of Wales and then later on into Northern Ireland. Still could create some difficult driving conditions and some localised flooding. We'll see a brief dry spell across parts of the southwest before another band of heavy showers starts to move through, and for many areas of the country it is going to be wet and quite cloudy, and possibly even some snow across high ground in Scotland. This leads us into Sunday, and once again it is going to be